Are here. We're going to be talking about supports coordination today because we know that it can be a confusing time when your child turns 14 and you start transitioning or planning for a transition. And some parents feel like they need to study to get their kids out of school or get their students out of school. So our goal for our time together is to hopefully help to ease some of those concerns, answer some of those questions. And I didn't introduce myself before I started rambling about why we're here. So my name is Nicole Meyer Emery. Hello, it's nice to meet you. I am an Include Me specialist from the ARC of Pennsylvania. Eleni, Anthony, I don't know if you want to say hi real quick.
Hi, I'm Eleni. I'm going to be helping a little bit more in the background today. I'm also an Include Me program specialist with the ARC of PA. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and I'll be here in the shadows to help.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Anthony Chan. I've been with the ARC for many years now, and I'll also be helping out, answering questions and helping out with our surveys as well. So I'll be in the background too.
Yep. So those are my other panelists. I am going to be your main presenter today. Like Eleni and Anthony said, we want to answer your questions. We want to get to your comments and your concerns. However, we do have a limited amount of time together. So please utilize the Q&A function or the chat function. And we will get to them at the end. And we're going to go over that again as well. But we always like to do our trainings in a safe zone. We like to make this feel as if you are able to share all of your thoughts and ideas openly without any fear of that negative feedback. Everyone is welcome here, and we really truly just want to help and answer any of those questions that we possibly can. And we're actually gonna get started with a little activity. So I'm going to bring up this slide, and then Anthony is going to share his screen momentarily. But we're going to go to menti.com. It is an online site. You do not have to create an account to participate. So you'll go to either the website, or you can scan the QR code with your phone. And then you'll enter the code that you see in orange. So 7557-1057. And I know that Eleni in the background is already putting that into the chat for you all. And it's already there. And then you'll click join, and then it'll be there and ready to go. And we'll wait for Anthony to progress those slides for us. But he might have already started it. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick. And they're just some fun questions to get us started on if you prefer thin crust or deep dish pizza. I love the meme on the side. Why not both? Isn't that just like regular crust pizza if you have both? Something in the middle. Looks like most people are looking at thin crust. I also am a thin crust girly. Not that I don't like deep dish, I just prefer thin crust. Oh, deep dish is coming. Have a little bit of a comeback. All right, Anthony, you want to go on to the next one? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so hot take. We want you to use the sliding scale that is there. Oh, okay, Chicago style. All right, fair enough. Hot take. Is it okay to wear denim on denim? Gift cards are a thoughtful gift, and waffles are better than pancakes. What is your hot take on those? Or maybe you just are in the middle, like I am. I think waffles are better for some things, but pancakes are better for others. I feel like waffles are like a dessert pancake. That's my hot take. And I'm not a fan on denim on denim. I know it was a trend. I know it was a style. Not for me. And I do love a thoughtful gift of a gift card. Oh, ID the people in the photo. Anthony's offering bonus points. All right, Anthony, you want to go on to the next one? Okay, so we want you to describe your familiarity with supports coordination. Are you new to it all? Are you an expert? Do you have a supports coordinator? Anywhere in between, let us know. Zero experience. Okay. First, pretty familiar. Excited to know more. Okay. Oh, so we have a spectrum today. Last night we did this as well, and we had most people who were new to supports coordination, which I always like to say there's no shame in either game. We just we really are we're really here just to give that information, and we like to know. So we got some transition coordinators, fairly familiar, just getting started. System can be very confusing. We understand that. Yes. Yes. No experience. First meeting next week. Okay. All right. How to get one. Okay. All right. No familiarity. All right. We got all the in between. Those of you who are experts, if you're in the chat or in the Zoom with us and you have some resources of a question, please feel free to put those in the chat for us, some of those resources. Okay, Anthony, you want to go to the last question there. Thank you all for participating. So tell us a little about how much you know. So I am knowledgeable about what a supports coordinator can do. I know how to access a supports coordinator. So where are we at on that sliding scale? I know we have some people who this is all brand new to them, and that's okay. Like I said, no shame in either game. Really, truly just trying to gauge our audience. Okay, yeah. Looks like the majority are on that lower end. But it keeps moving, it's still going. So we'll see. Yep. It's about where we were last night too, I think. So if you didn't know, we did this exact same presentation last evening as well. We have an evening session and a morning session or lunch session, and you're always welcome to join either for future sessions. All right, so that was our last question. Anthony's going to stop sharing his screen, and I'm going to jump back into the PowerPoint here on Zoom. There we go. Thank you all for engaging in that with us. We're going to get into this. Now, like I said at the beginning of our time together, we have 30 minutes. 30 minutes of basic information. We know that sometimes it can be difficult to know what services your student may need once they have transitioned out of school. So over the next couple of slides, we're actually going to go through supports coordination. Our time together has really been designed to give a basic understanding of why supports coordination is valuable and why you need a coordinator or why it could be beneficial to your family. If you have questions along the way, like we said, please utilize the question and answer, the Q&A feature here on Zoom. If you're joining us live on Facebook, please put those in the comments, and we will get back to you within a week or so. Those of you here in Zoom, you get the live Q&A at the end, but we're going to have some time at the end to address those questions to our best of our abilities. Last note I would like to make before we get started is we are not coming to this presentation, rather I am not coming to this presentation as an expert on these services. I'm not coming to this as an expert in supports coordination, but what I can really offer you is that if we don't know the answer, myself or our panelists don't know the answer, we are really truly here and willing to help you find that correct answer or send you in the right direction. We ourselves might not be the experts in this field. However, we do have connections across the state where we can send you in the right direction of those experts to help you along the way. So, setting the stage for our time together. So 30 minutes basic information, 15 minutes of that Q&A there at the end. Now, we couldn't talk about supports coordination without first kind of looking at the system structure of the systems of supports that is in place for individuals with disabilities. So really to understand the process for obtaining those services, we think that it's helpful to understand the structure of the service system, beginning with the Office of Developmental Programs. So that you can really understand the roles and responsibility of each office underneath ODP, or that Office of Developmental Programs. Now, I'm going to try throughout our time together to not use acronyms because we know that that can only add to the frustration and the confusion. So I'm going to do my best to not use acronyms. This photo that you see, this image diagram, comes from the Gold Book, which actually describes the different layers of services in that system, including those state and county government offices, which you see listed right here, those A and E, the private agencies, supports coordination, and then also down here, those private providers as well, and the role of each in delivering the services. The Office of Developmental Programs, there at the top, has responsibility over top of all of those other pieces that fall underneath their realm. So they have the responsibility for those systems of services for those people with developmental disabilities. They provide funds for the services that fall underneath them. They administer waivers, which is another word for funding. They develop policies amongst other kind of responsibilities along the way. However you interact with the Office of Developmental Programs, whether it's one of these sections below, the goal of the program is actually to support everyone to live where they want, pursue the work that they want, enjoy leisure and recreational activities, and develop friendships and relationships with others in their communities. That's the whole goal. Everyday lives, that's what it is. So all of these services that you provide here, or that you see here, those will be there to help support that individual within their goals for work or leisure or recreation, friendships, relationships, etc. Now, it wouldn't also be a webinar talking about the support system or the service industry without talking about eligibility. So first, eligibility really requires that diagnosis before a certain age. So this includes intellectual disability or autism, which is diagnosed before the age of 22. Or a developmental disability identified between birth and age 8, with a strong likelihood of an intellectual disability or autism later in life. Additionally, for those diagnosed with those medically complex conditions from birth up to age 21, a current medical eval from a licensed provider is necessary. So you have those diagnoses at the top, and then you also have to have one of those at the bottom as well. So support for those who might have that substantial adaptive skill deficits. So those are everyday skills, such as maybe self-care, using and understanding receptive or expressive languages, learning, mobility, having self-direction, and also capacity for independent living, amongst other things as well. Care level is also a factor within determining eligibility. If someone requires the level of care typically provided in an intermediate care facility, they may also qualify for some additional support. Now we're going to leave eligibility here for now. We're going to talk towards the end how you can actually get a supports coordinator, how you can actually go through the process of being deemed eligible, etc. But first we want to really talk about why. Why do we make these connections? We have a little bit of an understanding of who the Office Developmental Programs are. We have a little understanding about eligibility. So why do we need to make these connections? Why do you need to work with ODP, or that Office of Developmental Programs, and a supports coordinator? Well, if your student is receiving services, your student needs them in the future for their adult life, whether it is navigating that school to adulthood transition, transitioning into employment, finding community resources, finding independent living outside of the family home. Support coordination actually connects you to all of those services that you need or your student needs to thrive. There are important timelines along the line that you don't really want to miss, and a supports coordinator can help to stay on top of those appointments and deadlines. They can also help to make the process feel a little less overwhelming. They're there to help keep track, ensuring that none of those opportunities slip through the cracks. They provide essential supports and services, help you to find those essential supports and services, and they also help with financial help. They help find the how you're going to pay for all of these services through waivers and other funding sources as well. From community participation services, communication services, finding therapists, transportation, assistive technology. These are all services that make sure that those students get the assistance that they need. But these are all things that a supports coordinator can help you to manage all of these services and more once your student transitions from high school to the adult world. You can think of a supports coordinator as your case manager, right? If your student is in high school currently, they have a case manager or they have a special education student that is the lead on their IEP or their individualized education plan. That one person is helping to manage all of those services and collect data and making sure that we are hitting goals and that sort of thing, and making sure we're making progress within that education system. Once that student leaves the education system, they're moving on to the adult system, and they will then need a new case manager. That's where supports coordination can kind of help to come in and fill that gap. You don't have to do this transition alone. There are people out there that are there to help. So you can think of it as that road trip. It's so much easier and more enjoyable when you have that great team along for the ride, no matter if that end goal has been smooth or bumpy along. It's so much easier when you have that team that's there to help support your student. Sometimes families start with a supports coordinator or something that looks very similar to a supports coordinator when they are in early intervention, that birth to preschool. Sometimes you do not. Sometimes you have a great supports coordinator or something similar in that early intervention, and sometimes you do not. They're not all built the same. Some sports coordinators are through your local county office. Some are from separate agencies, as we saw with that breakdown at the beginning from the Office of Developmental Programs. Either way, that supports coordinator is a valuable part of that team because, as their title suggests, They're there to help coordinate supports and services, as well as resources, and they help to create a support plan. So very similar to that individualized education plan that your student has currently if they're in school. The supports coordinator will help to create an individualized support plan, which is the plan that your student would transition to once they leave the education system. That is the next plan. That plan, we write out all the goals. What are our goals for our future? What are our goals for our adult life? Do we want to get a job? Do we want to live on our own? Do we maybe want to get a certification of some kind? Do we want to have recreational goals? Do we want to be a participant of a specific program, etc.? And then setting up goals to reach that ultimate goal, or smaller objectives to reach that ultimate goal. And then what supports do we need along the way? If we're going to get a job, are we going to go at it our own? Are we going to be connected with the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation? Are we going to need a job coach or an employment specialist along the way? How are we going to get there? Sports coordinator can really help to answer those questions and kind of guide you through that process of connecting with these different supports and services. If your student has, or your child has been receiving these services that you see on your screen, so occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, mobility services, blind or visual services, or any other maybe necessary services that you have had through your educational career, it's really important to make sure that you communicate their needs and any of those changes to that coordinator. If they need ongoing occupational or physical or speech therapies in the future in their adult world, the supports coordinator needs to know about that, because they can get you connected in the funding to fund those services after that transition. A supports coordinator can help to really navigate that adult world and what services your student might need after graduation. We have created a Padlet. Now we're not done. We still have a couple more slides to go, but we have created a Padlet. We have created this resource guide for you. This Padlet will be in existence forever and ever. It's also linked on our website, and I know that Eleni just put that in the chat for us already, but this Padlet has a ton of resources on there already. But specifically, I want to direct you to under our agency services section on that Padlet, there is a link to the Human and Community Services Information System. And within that system, they have a specific tab. It's called Services and Supports Directory. This site can be used to find your local county or administrative entity office. This is your first step for getting a supports coordinator. So you can access this Padlet at any time. We're going to continue to update this Padlet with more resources. After today's session, you will be able to find this PowerPoint listed on that Padlet as well, along with a bunch of other resources, like I said, that we're going to continue to update throughout the months that we're going to be doing these short little info sessions. So you found out who your county or administrative entity office is. You have the contact information. You reach out to them. You let them know that you would like to get a supports coordinator, that you want to, set up that intake interview or an appointment. They will pass that along. You'll do whatever you need to do. Sometimes there's an online form. Sometimes you actually have to reach out and contact them. Either way, you will then a representative will reach back out to you to set up that intake appointment. During that meeting, you're going to need these things that are on the screen if they are applicable to you and your student. So their social security card, their birth certificate, their proof of address, medical assistance card if you have one, or other insurance card, any assessments or psychological evaluations if they are available, legal guardian or custodial paperwork if that is applicable to your student. During this meeting, the representative that you meet with will probably ask for some other releases or documentation to be filled out. They will use all of this information to determine eligibility. That eligibility that we talked about at the beginning, they're going to determine your son or daughter's, your student's eligibility for services. And then they will let you know by written notice within 14 days if your child is eligible for these services. If you don't receive notification in that time, you might need to give them a call and let them know or find out what the status of that application is in that process. If you are determined eligible, then you will be provided with a list of supports coordination agencies that you can then choose from to develop a plan and access those services. Okay, you'll get that list, you'll pick which one you would like to go with, you'll set up a meeting with them, and then you get the ball rolling, right? You're on down the road. If you have been determined or your student has been determined not eligible for services, you're going to be notified in writing. You do have the right to appeal that decision. If you are looking for more information on how to file an appeal or where to file an appeal, you can refer to that Office of Developmental Programs Gold Book that's actually linked on our Padlet. Within that Gold Book, you can also find more in-depth information on supports coordination in itself, the dreaded waiting list that comes with the service industry, prioritizing those individuals for services, and so much more information. It's, I think, well over 100 pages, but they do have it linked where if you have a specific topic in mind, you can click and find that information. Like I said at the top, we're not really going to be going into the weeds here because we're just giving that basic information on why a supports coordinator is beneficial to your family and to your student and why you should make those connections. Last slide here. With every agency that you work with, no matter if it's the Office of Developmental Programs, no matter if it's the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation or others, every agency you work with, your child has rights and you and your child have rights and responsibilities. So it's important to know these and then use them as needed during your work. You have the right to change counselors. I said it already, not all counselors are made the same, and that's okay. Everybody has their strengths. If they are not jiving with your family, it's okay. You can go and find a new coordinator. You can request a new coordinator. You have the right to thorough evaluations, the right to continuation of those services if you decide to move out of the state of Pennsylvania. Ask questions when you're in those meetings. If you don't understand something, please stand up for yourself or your son or your daughter and ask those questions. Be honest when the coordinators are asking you questions about your son, your child, because they're ultimately there just trying to get information so that they know what services you might need to apply for or get and what funding streams they might need to tap into. Keep all appointments and follow up if you can't attend those appointments. Everybody is busy, so we understand. Something else you can do is decide on a career. Next month, we are going to be talking about the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, but if this is something that you have not decided on or your child has not decided on, it is a possibility to do that now. It's a good idea to do that now. Set that goal. What is my future going to look like? Do I want a job? Do I want to get that certification? Do I just want to do some community participation? And then provide accurate and timely information to those agencies when they request it. I had to take a breath after all of that. Lots of information. Like I said, you will have access to these slides. We're going to go back to Mentimeter. You can use that same link. You can use that same code, but we have a couple follow-up questions at the end of our very short time together, and then we'll get to those question and answers. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Anthony's going to pull that up. And Eleni is popping it in there in the chat again for you. So there you go. On that sliding scale, we want to rate your feelings. We want you to rate your feelings. I am knowledgeable about what they can do. I know how to access a supports coordinator now. This training helped me learn more about supports coordination. This is how we learn what you need. This is how we make these trainings better so that we are providing the information that you as parents need and ultimately are using to make these decisions for your family. So we appreciate any feedback. We're not going to be hurt. Like I said, we just want to make sure that we're giving you what you need to be successful and to help your child, transition from high school into the real world, the adult world. So. You are so welcome. You're so welcome. Anthony, you want to go to the next one? Because this is the one that I'm really, truly, truly curious about. What do you want to know more about? In our future sessions, we have a couple of topics already planned, but we want to do more, and we want to do them on topics that you all want to hear about. So we can talk about anything to do with transition, financial planning, ABLE accounts, um, uh, employment, making connections in your community. I'm trying to think of different topics. Really anything. Sky's the kind of the limit. You let us know what you wanna learn about, and we'll figure it out. We'll find the experts. We'll find the people. Financial planning, employment. Yeah, that's always a big one. We can do it. We can go more into depth about supports coordination. We could talk about waiting lists a little bit, how to navigate the adult world. Yeah, waivers, housing options. Oh, I have heard housing options quite a few. Graduated independence. These are all such good ones. Okay, all right. I love this. This is what I wait for, is to know what you all want to talk about. And what Mentimeter is doing, if you're looking at this going, oh, look at the bigger ones, the smaller ones, mine's so small. What it does is it takes multiple answers and makes those ones bigger. It's making a word cloud for us, which I really love. So employment is a big topic. I'll tell you, stay tuned. We are going to talk about employment next month. We're going to talk about working with the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation and what that looks like. But we can go down the rabbit hole of employment and the different avenues that employment provides. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you all. We're gonna stop the live stream on Facebook. We're gonna stop the recording here. And I know I saw the Q&A pop up a little bit. So if you have questions, please put them in there. We're not gonna be recording this time frame. But if you joined us on Facebook, thank you, and we'll see you next time. I got the recording.